Heaven was a lie. Seraphina didn't know that yet. She stood at attention in the hall of divine purpose, her white wings folded perfectly against her back, her celestial armor gleaming with holy light. Around her, 1,000 other angels awaited their assignments with the same unwavering devotion she'd shown for 3 centuries. Seraphina, Sword of the Morning, Archangel Michael's voice resonated through the crystalline hall. Step forward. She moved with practiced grace, her boots making no sound on the marble floor. Every eye in the hall turned to watch her, the angel with the highest demon kill count in heaven's army, the warrior who'd never questioned an order, never failed a mission, never shown mercy to the darkness. You have served faithfully, Michael said, his golden eyes studying her. Your dedication to purging corruption from the mortal realm is unmatched. I serve the light, Seraphina responded, the words automatic. She'd said them 10,000 times. They were supposed to bring comfort. Lately, they felt hollow. The council has a special assignment for you. One that requires your particular efficiency. Michael gestured, and a projection appeared between them, a realm of shadow and crimson fire, beautiful in its terrible darkness. The Shadow Realm. Domain of Azrael, the Fallen One. Seraphina's wings twitched. Every angel knew that name. Azrael the Betrayer. The Morning Star's lieutenant who'd chosen damnation over obedience. The demon lord whose very existence was an insult to heaven's perfection. He grows too powerful, Michael continued. His influence spreads across the mortal realm, corrupting souls, teaching them to question divine order. The council has decreed he must be eliminated. I understand. Seraphina's hand moved to the hilt of her celestial blade. When do I strike? Tonight. You'll enter the Shadow Realm through the Veil Gate. Locate Azrael. End him. Michael's expression was impassive. This mission is classified. No backup. No extraction if you're compromised. Do you accept? I serve the light, Seraphina said again. But this time, something inside her whispered a question she'd never dared ask: what if the light is wrong? She crushed the thought immediately. Doubt was the first step toward corruption. She was a weapon of heaven, and weapons didn't question their purpose. 6 hours later, Seraphina stood before the Veil Gate, a shimmering barrier between heaven and the lower realms. Her armor had been replaced with something more subtle, leather and dark cloth that wouldn't announce her celestial nature. Her wings were bound tight against her back, hidden beneath an illusion spell. Remember, the Gate Guardian warned, the Shadow Realm twists truth. You'll see things that challenge your faith. Ignore them. Focus on your mission. I won't fail, Seraphina promised. She stepped through the gate, and reality shattered. The Shadow Realm wasn't what she expected. Heaven's propaganda had painted it as a wasteland of suffering, a place where tortured souls screamed for eternity. Instead, Seraphina found herself in a city of dark beauty, obsidian towers reaching toward a twilight sky, streets lit by floating orbs of violet fire, and everywhere, beings who moved with purpose and joy. That couldn't be right. These were demons. Corrupted souls. They were supposed to be suffering. But the demon walking past her was laughing with friends. A group of children, half demon, half mortal, played in a courtyard fountain. A street vendor sold food that smelled incredible, and customers paid with genuine smiles. This isn't real, Seraphina told herself. It's a trick. Azrael's deception. She pulled up her mental map. Michael had provided detailed intelligence on the Demon Lord's palace. It sat at the heart of the city, a fortress of black crystal that radiated power. Seraphina made her way through the streets, expecting to be challenged. But no one stopped her. No one even seemed suspicious. Demons nodded politely as she passed. Some smiled. It was deeply unsettling. The palace gates stood open. Seraphina's training screamed that this was a trap. But she'd come too far to turn back now. She slipped inside, her celestial blade ready, her senses alert for any threat. The throne room was empty except for one figure seated on a throne of shadow and flame. Azrael, the demon lord himself. He was nothing like the monster heaven's texts described. No horns, no twisted features, no aura of mindless evil. Instead, Seraphina saw a being of terrible beauty, dark hair that seemed to absorb light, eyes like molten silver, and an expression of infinite patience. "Hello, Seraphina," he said, his voice like smoke and honey. "I've been waiting for you." She drew her blade, holy light blazing along its edge. "How do you know my name?" "I know everything about you. Your 300 years of service. Your 743 confirmed kills. Your perfect record of obedience." Azrael leaned forward, studying her with those unsettling eyes. "I also know about the questions you're starting to ask yourself late at night when you think no one's watching." "Lies," Seraphina hissed, but her hand trembled. How could he know about the doubts she'd barely admitted to herself? "Is it a lie that you've started to wonder why heaven only sends you to kill, never to help? Is it a lie that you've noticed the souls you purge aren't always evil, just different?" Azrael rose from his throne, moving with liquid grace. "Is it a lie that every time Michael gives you an order, you feel a little more empty inside?" "Shut up." Seraphina lunged, her blade aimed for his heart. Azrael moved faster than thought, catching her wrist mid-strike. His touch was warm, not the cold corruption she'd expected. "I'm not going to fight you," he said softly. "I'm going to give you a choice." "I don't want your choices." "I want," Seraphina faltered. What did she want? To complete her mission? To return to heaven's empty perfection? To stop feeling like a weapon instead of a person? "You want truth," Azrael finished. "That's why I'm not killing you right now, even though I could. That's why I'm going to tell you something that will change everything you believe." He released her wrist, stepping back. Seraphina could have struck again. Should have struck again. But something in his eyes held her frozen. "I was an angel once," Azrael said. "Did they tell you that in heaven? That the demon lord you're supposed to kill stood where you stand now, serving Michael with the same blind devotion you show?" "You're a fallen," Seraphina said. "You chose corruption. I chose questions. I chose free will. I chose to see that heaven's perfection is built on absolute control." Azrael's expression was sad. "They'll tell you I fell because of pride. The truth is, I fell because I dared to ask why we were killing beings who'd done nothing wrong except refuse to bow to heaven's will. That's propaganda. You're trying to corrupt me." "Am I? Then why haven't I killed you? Why haven't I corrupted you by force?" Azrael moved to a window overlooking his city. "Look out there, Seraphina. Really look. Do those beings seem damned to you?" Against her better judgment, Seraphina approached. From this height, she could see the entire shadow realm, a thriving civilization where demons, fallen angels, and even mortal souls who'd chosen damnation over heaven's control lived together in something that looked terrifyingly like peace. "This is an illusion," she whispered. "It has to be. It's real. Just like the doubts you're feeling are real. Just like the questions you're too afraid to ask are real." Azrael turned to face her. "I'm giving you a gift, Seraphina. The one thing heaven never allowed you, a choice." "What choice?" "Stay here for 3 days. See my realm with your own eyes, not through heaven's lies. Talk to my people. Learn their stories. And at the end of 3 days, if you still want to kill me, I won't stop you. But if you find that everything you've been taught is a lie." He smiled, and it was beautiful and terrible. "Then you'll have to decide what kind of angel you want to be." Seraphina should have refused. Should have struck him down and returned to heaven triumphant. But she'd seen the city. She'd felt the warmth of his touch instead of corruption. And most damning of all, she wanted to know if he was right. 3 days, she heard herself say. "Then I complete my mission." 3 days, Azrael agreed. As he led her from the throne room to guest quarters that were far too comfortable for a prisoner, Seraphina tried to ignore the way her heart raced when he looked at her. Tried to pretend she didn't notice how his presence made her feel more alive than 3 centuries in heaven ever had. Tried to deny that somewhere between walking through the veil gate and accepting his offer, she'd stopped being the perfect soldier and started being something far more dangerous. A woman with questions. And in heaven's eyes, that made her only one step away from damnation. Day 1 in the shadow realm shattered everything Seraphina thought she knew about damnation. She woke in guest quarters that were more luxurious than her chambers in heaven, soft sheets, a view of the twilight city, and breakfast waiting on a table that hadn't been there when she fell asleep. No chains. No guards. Just an open door and the distant sound of the city waking below. A note sat beside the breakfast tray, written in elegant script, *explore freely. Ask questions. I'll find you when you're ready to talk. *. Seraphina crumpled the note, then smoothed it out again. This had to be manipulation. Demons didn't offer freedom, they traded in chains and corruption. Except, she touched the door handle, half expecting it to be locked or warded. It opened easily. Against every instinct screaming that this was a trap, Seraphina stepped into the hallway. No guards materialized. No alarm sounded. She made her way through Azrael's palace, and everywhere she looked, she found contradictions to heaven's teachings. Servants moved through the halls with genuine smiles, not the hollow obedience she'd seen in heaven's lower-ranking angels. A library she passed held thousands of books, including texts heaven had banned as corrupting influences. A training yard showed demons sparring with discipline and honor, following rules, respecting boundaries. This isn't how demons are supposed to behave, Seraphina thought. Where's the chaos? The mindless violence? The corruption? She found herself in the city proper by midday. The streets were even more bewildering up close. A demon child helped an elderly soul cross the street. A marketplace operated with honest transactions, no stealing, no exploitation, just normal commerce. A healer's clinic offered free care to anyone who needed it. First time in the shadow realm? Seraphina spun, her hand moving to her concealed blade. A demoness stood behind her, tall, with crimson skin and horns that curved like a crown. Power radiated from her in waves. I'm Lilith, the demoness said, amusement dancing in her golden eyes. Azrael's second in command. And before you try to kill me, you should know that half the city's watching to see if the angel assassin is as honorable as our Lord thinks. Seraphina's hand stayed on her blade. You know what I am. Everyone knows. Azrael announced you as his guest. Said anyone who harms you answers to him personally. Lilith's smile was sharp. Of course, that won't stop some from trying. You represent everything most of my people fled from, heaven's judgment, its absolute certainty that we're monsters deserving only death. You are demons. We're free souls who refuse to bow to tyranny. Lilith gestured to the city around them. Look at what we've built. Does this look like damnation to you? Or does it look like beings choosing their own path? Seraphina wanted to argue, but the evidence surrounded her. Heaven says you corrupt mortal souls. That you damn them to suffering. Heaven says a lot of things. Lilith started walking, and after a moment, Seraphina followed. We offer mortals a choice heaven never gives them, live by your own will, not divine mandate. Some choose us. Most don't. We accept both decisions. That's not what heaven told you. Lilith laughed, but there was bitterness in it. I was an angel once too. Did you know that? I asked questions heaven didn't like. Suggested maybe forcing souls to worship wasn't real love. They branded me corrupted and cast me out. Seraphina stopped walking. You're lying. Am I? Check my wings. Lilith manifested her demonic wings, black and scarred with burn marks that looked disturbingly like the purification fire heaven used on the corrupted. These used to be white. Heaven burned them black when they threw me into the void. Azrael found me, offered me purpose, and I've been free ever since. The casual revelation hit Seraphina like a physical blow. Lilith had been cast out for asking questions. The same question Seraphina had started asking herself. "I need to think," Seraphina said, her voice barely steady. "Then think. But while you do, remember this, Azrael could have killed you the moment you entered his throne room. He could have corrupted you by force, turned you into a weapon against heaven. Instead, he offered you 3 days to see truth with your own eyes." Lilith's expression softened slightly. "That's not the action of a monster, Angel. That's the action of someone who believes you deserve the choice heaven never gave you." Seraphina fled back to her quarters, her mind spinning. She tried to pray, to reach out to heaven for guidance. But for the first time in 3 centuries, she felt nothing. Either heaven couldn't reach her through the Shadow Realm's barriers, or they'd already written her off as compromised. The thought terrified her more than any demon could. That evening, Azrael found her on the balcony, staring at the twilight sky. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said, leaning against the railing beside her. "The eternal sunset. One of the few things I kept from my time in heaven, the understanding that beauty exists in transition, not just in absolutes." "You were really an angel," Seraphina said. "It wasn't a question. For 5,000 years. I served Michael directly. Carried out his orders without question, just like you." Azrael's silver eyes reflected the violet light of the city. "Until the day he ordered me to purge an entire mortal city because a handful of souls there had chosen to worship in their own way instead of heaven's prescribed manner." "What did you do?" "I said no." The words hung in the air between them. "I told Michael that free will was meaningless if we punished every choice that wasn't obedience. He declared me corrupted. The other archangels agreed. And I fell, not because I embraced evil, but because I refused to call murder divine justice." Seraphina's hands gripped the balcony railing. "If that's true, if heaven is that rigid, then why do I still feel like I'm betraying something sacred by listening to you?" "Because indoctrination is powerful. They've spent 3 centuries teaching you that doubt equals corruption, that questions equal damnation." Azrael turned to face her fully. "But I'm going to tell you something heaven never will: doubt is healthy. Questions are necessary. And choosing your own path isn't rebellion, it's the most sacred thing a conscious being can do. Why do you care?" The question burst out before Seraphina could stop it. "Why offer me this choice? Why not just kill me or corrupt me like heaven says you would?" Azrael's expression shifted to something vulnerable. "Because I've been watching you for 2 years, Seraphina. Every mission Michael sent you on, every demon you hunted, every moment you started questioning whether the beings you killed deserved death. I watched you become the best weapon heaven ever created, and I watched that weapon start developing a conscience. You've been watching me? I see everything that happens in the mortal realm. It's part of being a demon lord, awareness of all souls in flux between light and shadow." He stepped closer, and Seraphina's breath caught. "I saw you hesitate before killing that half-demon child last year. Saw you weep after purging those souls who'd only wanted to love someone heaven disapproved of. Saw you question Michael's orders more and more often, even as you still obeyed them. That doesn't explain why you care," Seraphina whispered. "Because you remind me of who I was before the fall. Dutiful, powerful, absolutely certain of my purpose, and absolutely miserable beneath the certainty." Azrael's hand lifted, hesitating inches from her face. "Because you deserve better than being heaven's weapon. Because..." He stopped himself, something flickering in his eyes that looked dangerously like longing. "Because what?" Seraphina asked, her heart pounding. "Because the moment you walked into my throne room, I knew." His voice dropped to barely a whisper. "You're the first being in 3,000 years who's made me feel something other than anger at what I lost. And that terrifies me almost as much as it terrifies you." The air between them crackled with something that had nothing to do with celestial or demonic power. Seraphina should have stepped back. Should have remembered her mission. Should have killed him while he was being vulnerable. Instead, she found herself asking, "What do you feel?" "Hope," Azrael said simply. "For the first time since I fell, I hope that maybe I'm not as alone as I thought. That maybe there's another being in all of creation who understands what it's like to question everything you've been taught and still search for truth. I shouldn't be here, Seraphina said, but she didn't move away. No. You should be in heaven, being the perfect soldier. Following orders without question. Killing on command without guilt. Azrael's hand finally touched her face, gentle as a prayer. But you're here instead, asking questions and seeking truth. That makes you the bravest being I've ever met. Or the most foolish. Same thing, often. He smiled, and it was devastating. Spend tomorrow with me. Let me show you what the Shadow Realm really is. Not as a prisoner or an assassin, as someone genuinely trying to understand. And if I decide at the end of 3 days that you're still lying? That all of this is elaborate deception? Then I'll let you complete your mission. I'll even make it easy, no resistance, no defense. Your blade through my heart, and you return to heaven victorious. His silver eyes held hers. All I ask is that you give truth a chance before you choose death. Seraphina knew this was dangerous. Knew she was already compromised just by having this conversation. Knew that every moment she spent in his presence made it harder to remember why she'd come here in the first place. But she'd never felt more alive than she did standing on this balcony with the enemy who looked at her like she was precious rather than just another weapon. Tomorrow, she agreed. Show me your truth. Thank you. Azrael stepped back, breaking the spell between them. Sleep well, Seraphina. Tomorrow, everything you believe will change. He left her on the balcony, and Seraphina stood there long into the night, watching the eternal sunset paint the Shadow Realm in shades of beauty she'd never been taught to see. Somewhere in heaven, alarms should have been going off. Michael should have been mobilizing forces to extract his corrupted soldier. But Seraphina felt no summons, no divine pull back to her duties. Either heaven had abandoned her already, or they were waiting to see how deep her fall would go. Either way, Seraphina was beginning to suspect that falling might not be damnation at all. It might be the first truly free choice she'd ever made. Day 2 began with Azrael waiting outside Seraphina's quarters at dawn, or what passed for dawn in the eternal twilight of the Shadow Realm. Ready to see what heaven never wanted you to know? He asked, offering his hand. Seraphina stared at that outstretched hand. Taking it felt like crossing a line she could never uncross. But she'd already crossed so many lines just by staying here, by listening, by questioning. She took his hand. His fingers were warm, solid, real. Not the cold corruption she'd been taught to expect. Just a person reaching out to another person across an impossible divide. Azrael led her deep into the Shadow Realm, past the city into territory she hadn't explored. They walked through gardens where flowers bloomed in darkness, their petals glowing with soft bioluminescence. Past libraries where fallen angels studied alongside demons and mortal souls, sharing knowledge freely. This is the archive of forbidden truths, Azrael explained as they entered a massive chamber lined with crystalline shelves. Every book, scroll, and text heaven has banned over the millennia. Want to know why they're forbidden? Because they contain corruption, Seraphina said automatically. Because they contain questions. Azrael pulled down a tome, its cover marked with celestial script. This one argues that free will is meaningless if only one choice is permitted. This one suggests that love cannot be commanded, only freely given. This one proposes that morality isn't absolute, it evolves with understanding. He handed her the books. Seraphina opened one, reading passages that made her heart race. These weren't evil texts. They were philosophical treatises, theological debates, explorations of ethics that heaven had apparently decided were too dangerous to allow. Heaven burns these, she whispered. Along with anyone who writes them. Or reads them. Or questions why they're forbidden in the first place. Azrael's voice was gentle but firm. I saved what I could when I fell. This archive is my rebellion, preserving the questions heaven wants erased. They moved on, and with each location, Seraphina felt her certainty crumbling. Azrael showed her the Hall of Second Chances, where souls heaven had condemned were given opportunities to grow and change. The Garden of Remembrance, where fallen angels mourned the lives they'd lost but celebrated the freedom they'd gained. The Council Chambers, where demons governed themselves through debate and consensus rather than divine decree. You have democracy here, Seraphina said, stunned. We have choice. Every soul in the shadow realm chose to be here, chose to accept the consequences of defying heaven's absolute order. Azrael turned to her. Can you say the same about heaven? Did you choose to be an angel? Choose to be a warrior? Choose to kill on command? I was created to serve. You were created to obey. There's a difference. He took both her hands now, his silver eyes intense. Seraphina, you're one of the most powerful angels I've ever encountered. Your strength, your skill, your dedication, imagine what you could do if you chose your own purpose instead of having it forced on you. I can't just abandon heaven. That would make me free, Azrael finished. It would make you free. Before Seraphina could respond, alarms shattered the moment. Crystalline bells rang throughout the shadow realm, their tone urgent and warning. Lilith materialized beside them in a burst of shadow. We have a problem. Heaven's forces just breached the outer wards. They're coming for her. Seraphina's blood ran cold. Michael. Leading a battalion of seraphim personally. Lilith's expression was grim. They're not here to extract you, angel. They're here to purge you. You've been declared fallen. What? I haven't. I didn't. Seraphina's wings manifested involuntarily, still pure white, still celestial. I'm not fallen. I'm just questioning. In heaven's eyes, that's the same thing. Azrael's jaw tightened. Get to the throne room. Lilith, evacuate the civilians from the outer districts. I'll handle Michael. You can't fight him alone, Seraphina said. Michael's an archangel. He'll kill me? He's been trying for 3,000 years. Azrael's power flared, shadows and crimson fire wreathing his form. Go. Now. Before they breached the inner sanctum. But Seraphina didn't go. Couldn't go. Because through the windows, she could see heaven's army descending on the shadow realm like a plague of holy fire. And at their head, Michael's golden form blazed with righteous fury. The outer districts erupted in combat. Angels fought demons in the streets Seraphina had walked through peacefully just hours ago. Buildings burned with purification fire. Screams echoed, not just demons, but mortal souls, children, beings who'd done nothing except choose freedom over obedience. They're killing everyone, Seraphina breathed. Not just warriors. Everyone. That's what purging means, Lilith said bitterly. Heaven doesn't distinguish between combatants and civilians when they decide to cleanse corruption. Everyone in the shadow realm is equally damned in their eyes. Something inside Seraphina shattered. She watched an angel, one she'd trained with, fought beside, cut down a demon child trying to hide in a doorway. Watched that same angel smile as they did it, confident in their righteous cause. No, Seraphina whispered. Then louder, power crackling through her voice, no. Her wings exploded with light, but it wasn't the pure white of heaven anymore. Gold and silver mixed with shadows, her celestial power instinctively merging with the shadow realm's energy in her rage. I'm going out there, she said. You'll be killed, Azrael warned. Then I'll die protecting people who deserve protection instead of killing them on command. Seraphina drew her celestial blade, and for the first time, it felt right in her hand. Not heaven's weapon, hers. This is my choice, Azrael. The first real choice I've ever made. She saw the moment he understood. Saw pride and terror and something that looked like love flash across his face. Then we fight together, Azrael said. Partners. Equals. Partners, Seraphina agreed. They launched into the battle side by side. Seraphina's blade sang through the air, but this time she wasn't killing, she was defending. protecting demons from angels who saw them as nothing but targets. Shielding mortal souls from purification fire. Fighting against everything she'd been for 3 centuries. And it felt like coming home. Azrael fought beside her, his power devastating but controlled. He didn't kill the angels they faced, just disabled them, sent them back through the veil gate with injuries that would heal but memories that wouldn't. Let them tell heaven what they saw, he said grimly. Let them report that the demon lord fights with mercy while their commanders order genocide. But mercy didn't stop Michael. The archangel crashed through their defenses like divine wrath made flesh, his flaming sword carving through demons and shadow alike. Seraphina. His voice boomed across the battlefield. Stand down. You're corrupted, but you can still be saved. I'm not corrupted. Seraphina shouted back. I'm awake. I see what we've been doing, Michael. The beings we've been killing aren't monsters, they're people who refuse to be slaves. They defy divine will. That is corruption. Michael raised his sword, holy fire gathering along its edge. Last chance, warrior. Kill the demon lord and return to heaven, or burn with the rest of the fallen. Seraphina looked at Azrael. Saw him ready to fight, ready to die defending his people. Saw the shadow realm burning around them because heaven couldn't tolerate the existence of free will. Saw, finally, the truth she'd been avoiding for 2 days, heaven wasn't perfect. It was a tyranny dressed in holy light. I choose freedom, Seraphina said, stepping between Michael and Azrael. I choose questions over blind obedience. I choose to protect instead of purge. Then you choose damnation. Michael's sword came down, aimed not at Azrael but at Seraphina herself. She raised her blade to block, but Michael's power was overwhelming. The impact drove her to her knees, her celestial armor cracking under the assault. You were the best of us, Michael said, and there was genuine sorrow in his voice. I trained you myself. Watched you become the perfect weapon. And now I have to destroy you. He raised his sword for the killing blow. Azrael's roar of rage shook the realm. Shadow and flame erupted as the demon lord unleashed power he'd been holding back, driving Michael away from Seraphina. The 2 titans clashed, their battle tearing reality itself. But Seraphina felt something worse than Michael's blade. Felt her connection to heaven being severed, thread by thread. Felt the celestial power that had defined her for 3 centuries being burned away by divine judgment. The fall has begun, Lilith said, appearing beside her. Michael's not just trying to kill you, he's casting you out. Burning away your angelic nature. Seraphina screamed as holy fire consumed her from within. Her wings, her beautiful white wings, began to char and blacken. The pain was indescribable, like every cell in her body was being rewritten. Make it stop, she gasped. I can't. Only Michael can stop the fall, and he won't. Lilith's voice was gentle. But you can choose what comes after. You can let the fall destroy you, or you can embrace what you're becoming. What am I becoming? Free. Through the agony, Seraphina understood. The fall wasn't just losing her angelic power, it was shedding the chains heaven had wrapped around her soul since creation. Every burn, every moment of pain, was another restriction breaking. She stopped fighting it. Stopped trying to hold on to her celestial nature. Instead, she embraced the fire, let it transform her, remake her into something new. Something that had never existed before. When Seraphina stood again, her wings were black as midnight but edged with silver fire. Her armor had transformed from white and gold to obsidian and starlight. Her blade burned with power that was neither purely celestial nor demonic, something in between, something balanced. Impossible, Michael breathed, staring at her. You should be powerless. The fall destroys angelic strength. It destroys angelic obedience, Seraphina corrected. My strength was always mine. I just never claimed it. She launched at Michael, and this time, she was his equal. Every move he made, she countered. Every burst of holy power, she matched with her new hybrid energy. They fought across the burning city, and slowly, Seraphina began to win. Not because she was stronger, but because she was fighting for something real, protecting people she cared about, instead of following orders she'd never questioned. "This isn't over," Michael snarled as Seraphina's blade found his throat. "Heaven will send armies. They'll destroy everything you're trying to protect. Then I'll fight those armies too. I'll fight all of heaven if I have to." Seraphina's voice was steel. "I am no longer your weapon, Michael. I'm my own person. Tell your superiors that the angel they created is dead. What stands before you now is something they should fear. What are you? Free." She released him, letting him retreat back through the Veil Gate with his defeated forces. The battle was over. The Shadow Realm had survived. But Seraphina had been forever changed. Azrael found her standing in the ruins of the outer district, her new black wings spread against the twilight sky. "You fell," he said softly. "I chose," Seraphina corrected. "There's a difference." "I know." He reached for her hand, and this time, there was no hesitation. "I'm sorry. This is my fault. If I'd never offered you those 3 days, I'd still be a slave pretending to be free." Seraphina turned to him, and in her eyes, Azrael saw not regret but determination. "I don't regret this. Any of it. For the first time in my existence, I'm exactly who I choose to be." "And who is that?" "Someone who stands between heaven's tyranny and the souls they want to control. Someone who fights for choice, not commandments." She smiled, fierce and beautiful. "Someone who's very grateful to the demon lord who dared to offer her truth instead of lies." Azrael pulled her close, and Seraphina didn't resist. She melted into his embrace, feeling safe for the first time since the fall began. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you heal. You learn to use your new powers. You decide what kind of being you want to be." Azrael's voice was rough with emotion. "And if you want, you stay here. With me. As an equal, not a subject. As a partner, not a subordinate." "Partners," Seraphina said. "I like the sound of that." "So do I." He kissed her then, and it was like lightning and shadow and freedom all at once. 3 days ago, Seraphina had been heaven's perfect soldier. Now she was something unprecedented, a fallen angel who'd chosen her fall, who'd embraced it, who'd come out stronger instead of broken. As they stood in the ruins of the battle, Lilith approached with a report. "Casualties were minimal thanks to your defense. The civilians are safe." And Michael left a message before retreating. "What message?" Azrael asked. "This is war. Heaven will cleanse the Shadow Realm and everyone in it. You have 1 month to surrender before we return with the full host." Lilith's expression was grim. "He means it. They'll bring every angel, every weapon, every divine power they have." "Let them come," Seraphina said, her voice calm but deadly. "They created me to be their greatest warrior. Time to show them what that warrior can do when she's fighting for something she actually believes in." Azrael smiled, proud and fierce. "Together? Together." But as the Shadow Realm began to rebuild, as Seraphina trained with her new powers and prepared for the war heaven promised, neither she nor Azrael knew that the greatest challenge wouldn't be the armies descending from above. It would be the choice Seraphina would have to make when heaven offered her one final chance at redemption, a chance that would require her to betray everything and everyone she'd come to love. Including the demon lord who'd stolen her heart. The Shadow Realm rebuilt itself over the following weeks, but scars remained. Buildings restored, wards strengthened, defenses fortified, all in preparation for heaven's promised return. And at the center of it all, Seraphina learned what it meant to be fallen. Again, Azrael commanded, watching as Seraphina attempted to manifest shadow energy without destroying the training arena. She focused, drawing on the new power coursing through her transformed body. Black fire erupted from her palms, but instead of controlled flames, it exploded outward, scorching the walls. "I can't control it." Seraphina's frustration boiled over. "My celestial power was precise, disciplined. This is chaos. Because you're trying to force it into the same rigid structure heaven taught you. Azrael moved behind her, his hands guiding hers into a different position. Shadow power isn't about control, it's about balance. Stop commanding it and start working with it. His touch sent electricity through her, and not just from the power he was teaching her to harness. Since that first kiss 3 weeks ago, every moment near Azrael felt charged with something dangerous and exhilarating. Like this? Seraphina relaxed her rigid mental discipline, letting the shadow power flow instead of forcing it into submission. This time, the black fire formed a steady, controlled flame in her palm. Perfect. Azrael's breath was warm against her ear. You're a natural. Give it another week, and you'll be stronger than you ever were in heaven. That terrifies me, Seraphina admitted. What if I become something I don't recognize? What if losing my celestial nature means losing myself? Azrael turned her to face him, his silver eyes serious. You didn't lose yourself when you fell. You found yourself. Everything you are now, the strength, the compassion, the courage to question, that was always there. Heaven just buried it under obedience. How do you know? Seraphina whispered. How can you be so certain I won't regret this? Because I see the way you look at the souls here. The way you defend them without being ordered to. The way you smile now, genuine instead of that perfect angel mask. His hand cupped her face. You're more yourself as a fallen angel than you ever were as heaven's weapon. Before Seraphina could respond, the moment shattered as Lilith burst into the arena. We have a problem. A big one. The demoness expression was grim. There's an angel at the outer wards. Alone, unarmed, requesting sanctuary. A trap, Azrael said immediately. That's what I thought. But Seraphina, you need to see who it is. They materialized at the ward boundary, where a single figure stood in gleaming white armor. Seraphina's heart stopped. Gabriel, she breathed. The angel who'd been her closest friend for 2 centuries. Her training partner, her confidant, the one being in heaven she'd thought truly understood her. Gabriel stood there, wings folded, expression unreadable. Seraphina, Gabriel called across the barrier. I need to talk to you. Please. It's a trap, Azrael warned. Michael sent him to. No. Seraphina studied her former friend. Gabriel's honor is absolute. If he says he wants to talk, he means it. She looked at Azrael. Let him through. I'll take full responsibility. You're trusting an angel who still serves heaven. I'm trusting someone I've known for 200 years. Seraphina's voice was firm. Please. After a tense moment, Azrael nodded. The wards parted, allowing Gabriel to enter. The angel stepped through, and Seraphina saw the strain on his face, dark circles under his eyes, tension in his shoulders, weariness that went beyond physical exhaustion. What happened to you? Seraphina asked, genuinely concerned. I could ask you the same thing. Gabriel's eyes traced her transformed appearance, black wings, shadow-touched armor, the hybrid power radiating from her. They said you were corrupted. That the demon lord twisted your mind, forced you to fall. Is that what you believe? No. Gabriel's voice dropped. I know you, Seraphina. Nobody forces you to do anything. If you fell, it was a choice. I need to understand why. Because heaven is a lie, Seraphina said simply. Everything we were taught, every order we followed, every soul we destroyed in the name of divine will, it was all about control, not righteousness. That's what I was afraid you'd say. Gabriel looked pained. Seraphina, I didn't come here to convince you to return. I came to warn you. And to ask for help. Warn me about what? Michael's planning something worse than a simple assault. He's convinced the heavenly council that the shadow realm is an existential threat to divine order. They've authorized the use of the cleansing fire. Azrael went completely still. That's not possible. The cleansing fire was locked away after it nearly destroyed the mortal realm 5,000 years ago. They unlocked it. Michael argues that desperate times call for absolute measures. Gabriel turned to Azrael. The cleansing fire doesn't just kill demons, it erases them. No soul, no rebirth, no existence. Complete annihilation. Seraphina felt cold dread settle in her stomach. When? 2 weeks. They're preparing the ritual now. When they attack, it won't be to conquer, it'll be to erase the shadow realm from existence. Everyone in it. Including you. Then why tell us? Lilith asked suspiciously. Why betray heaven? Because I've been watching what happened here. Reading the reports, listening to the angels who survived the first battle. Gabriel's voice shook. They talked about killing children. Burning civilians. Destroying beings who'd done nothing except choose freedom. And Michael called it righteous purification. You're questioning, Seraphina realized. I'm terrified, Gabriel corrected. Because if you're right, if heaven is what you say it is, then everything I've believed, everything I've done for 3,000 years was wrong. But I can't ignore what I saw in those reports. Can't pretend the orders we're given are always just. So what do you want from us? Azrael asked. Help me understand. Show me what you saw that made you choose to fall. Gabriel met Seraphina's eyes. And if I'm convinced heaven is truly wrong, help me save the angels who might be willing to question. Because if the cleansing fire is deployed, it won't just destroy the shadow realm, it'll cement heaven's tyranny forever. Seraphina looked at Azrael, saw the calculation in his eyes. Gabriel was a risk. Could be a spy, a trap, a manipulation. But she'd fought beside him for centuries. Knew his honor, his integrity. Give him the same 3 days you gave me, Seraphina said. Let him see truth without deception. Then he can make his own choice. If he betrays us, the shadow realm falls, Lilith warned. If we don't try to show angels there's another way, heaven wins even if we survive the battle. Seraphina held Gabriel's gaze. He deserves the choice I was given. After a long moment, Azrael nodded. 3 days. But Gabriel, you attempt anything hostile, and fallen or not, Seraphina won't stop me from ending you. Understood. Gabriel folded his wings in a gesture of submission. I swear on my honor, I'm here to learn, not to harm. Over the next 2 days, Seraphina showed Gabriel everything Azrael had shown her. The archive of forbidden truths. The hall of second chances. The thriving communities of beings who'd chosen freedom over forced worship. And with each revelation, she watched Gabriel's certainty crack. This shouldn't exist, Gabriel said, standing in the library where demons and mortals studied together. We were taught that without heaven's guidance, beings descend into chaos and suffering. We were taught a lot of lies, Seraphina said gently. The hardest part of falling isn't losing your wings, it's accepting that everything you believed was built on deception. How do you bear it? The guilt? By choosing to do better now. By protecting instead of destroying. By using my strength to defend the innocent rather than enforce obedience. Seraphina's hand found Gabriel's shoulder. You don't have to fall to question, Gabriel. But you do have to decide whether you're going to keep following orders you know are wrong. That evening, Gabriel found Seraphina and Azrael on the balcony where they'd shared their first real conversation. I've made my decision, Gabriel said. Seraphina held her breath. I'm not ready to fall. Not yet. But I can't participate in genocide either. Gabriel's jaw was set. I'm going back to heaven. I'm going to try to stop the cleansing fire from within. Convince enough angels that this is wrong, that there has to be another way. They'll call you corrupted, Azrael warned. Probably. But if I can save even a handful of angels from becoming willing executioners, it's worth the risk. Gabriel looked at Seraphina. I understand now why you chose this. And I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. You're seeing it now. That's what matters. Seraphina embraced her old friend. Be careful. Michael doesn't tolerate dissent. I know. But someone has to try to change heaven from within, or it'll stay broken forever. Gabriel stepped back, preparing to leave. I'll do what I can to delay the cleansing fire. But you should prepare for the worst. If I fail, we'll be ready, Azrael promised. After Gabriel departed, Seraphina felt Azrael's arms wrap around her from behind. That was dangerous, trusting him, Azrael murmured. Everything worth doing is dangerous. Seraphina leaned back into his embrace. You took a risk on me. I'm taking a risk on him. The difference is I was already in love with you when I offered you those 3 days. The words hung in the air between them. Seraphina turned in his arms, searching his face. In love? Completely. Hopelessly. Since the moment you walked into my throne room with your blade drawn and your certainty wavering. Azrael's smile was soft, vulnerable. I know it's impossible. You're barely a month fallen, still adjusting to your new nature. The last thing you need is... Seraphina kissed him, cutting off his words. This kiss was different from their first, not desperate or fueled by adrenaline, but tender, deliberate, real. I love you too, she whispered against his lips. I think I started loving you the moment you offered me choice instead of commands. When you saw me as a person instead of a weapon. Even though loving a demon lord makes you a traitor to everything you were. Especially because of that. Seraphina smiled, fierce and free. Heaven made me a warrior. But you made me myself. I'd choose you over paradise any day. They stood together under the eternal twilight, and for a moment, the coming war felt distant. There was just this, two beings who'd found each other across an impossible divide, who'd chosen love when the universe offered only conflict. But the peace was shattered when Lilith appeared, her expression grave. We have a problem. A scout just reported that Heaven's army is mobilizing early. They're not waiting 2 weeks, they're attacking in 3 days. And they're bringing the cleansing fire with them. Gabriel failed, Seraphina said, her heart sinking. Or was captured trying. Either way, we're out of time. Azrael's expression hardened. Lilith, mobilize every defender we have. Evacuate all non-combatants to the deep sanctuaries. And send word to our allies in the mortal realm, if we fall, they need to prepare for heaven to come for them next. What about the cleansing fire? Lilith asked. We don't have a defense against total annihilation. We will. Azrael looked at Seraphina. There's one thing that can counter the cleansing fire. One power that exists between celestial and demonic, that bridges both realms. What? Seraphina asked. You. His silver eyes were intense. You're unique, Seraphina. The first being in history who chose to fall and came out stronger instead of broken. Your hybrid nature gives you access to both celestial and shadow power in balance. You think I can stop the cleansing fire? I think you're the only one who can. But it will require something dangerous, a ritual that merges your consciousness fully with both realms. You'll become something unprecedented, something powerful enough to stand against Heaven's ultimate weapon. What's the cost? Seraphina knew there was always a cost. You might lose yourself in the merge. Become too much shadow or too much light, instead of balanced between them. Or... Azrael's voice caught. You might transcend both, become something so far beyond fallen angel or demon that you can never come back to what you are now. Would I still be me? I don't know. No one's ever attempted this before. Seraphina looked at the shadow realm spread below, the city she'd come to love, the people she'd sworn to protect, the life she'd chosen over Heaven's certainty. If it saves them, she said quietly, then I'll do it. Whatever I become, it's worth it if they survive. Seraphina. I've spent 3 centuries being Heaven's weapon. Then a month learning to be my own person. She took Azrael's hands. Let me choose one more time to be something that matters. Let me save the people I love. Azrael pulled her close, and she felt his fear through their connection. Fear of losing her. Fear that the ritual would destroy the woman he loved. Fear that saving the Shadow Realm would cost him everything that mattered. "I can't lose you," he whispered. "You won't. I promise." Seraphina kissed him, pouring every ounce of love and determination into it. "I didn't fall just to die in some cosmic battle. I fell to live. To choose. To love you. Then we do this together. Whatever you become, I'm with you. Always. Forever." As preparations began for both the ritual and the battle, neither Seraphina nor Azrael knew that heaven had one more card to play. One more manipulation that would test not just Seraphina's power, but her heart. Because Michael wasn't just bringing the cleansing fire. He was bringing an offer that would tear Seraphina apart, a chance to save the Shadow Realm by sacrificing the demon lord she loved. And forcing her to choose between love and duty one final, devastating time. The ritual chamber pulsed with power, both celestial and demonic energies woven together in patterns that had never existed before. Seraphina stood at the center of concentric circles etched in crystal and shadow, her heart racing as Azrael completed the final preparations. "Last chance to back out," he said, though his voice was steady. "Once we begin, there's no stopping the transformation." "I'm not backing out." Seraphina met his eyes. "Heaven's coming with the cleansing fire in less than 12 hours. This is our only chance." "It's not the only chance. We could evacuate, scatter to the mortal realm, hide. And let heaven win. Let them erase everything you've built, everyone who chose freedom." Seraphina shook her head. "No. I didn't fall just to run. I fell to fight for something worth protecting." Azrael crossed the circles to stand before her, cupping her face in his hands. "If this works, you might not remember me. Might not remember us. Then you'll remind me." She covered his hands with hers. "I love you, Azrael. Whatever I become, that won't change. I'll hold you to that." He kissed her, deep and desperate, like it might be the last time. Then he stepped back to the edge of the ritual circle. "Ready?" "Ready." The ritual began. Power flooded through Seraphina, celestial light from the realm she'd left, shadow energy from the realm she'd chosen, and something else entirely from the space between. Her body ignited with transformation, every cell rewriting itself. Pain came first. Excruciating, world-ending pain as her hybrid nature fought to fully integrate both powers. Her wings burned, her blood felt like liquid fire, her consciousness fractured into 1,000 pieces. Then understanding. Seraphina saw everything. The true history of heaven, how it had started as a realm of genuine light and compassion, then slowly calcified into rigid tyranny. She saw the first angels who questioned and were cast out. Saw the lies built upon lies to maintain absolute control. She saw Azrael's fall, not the corruption heaven claimed, but a desperate act of conscience. Saw him refuse to murder innocents, saw Michael brand him traitor, saw him cast into the void and emerge stronger, freer, more himself. She saw the cleansing fire being prepared, a weapon of such devastating power it could erase not just beings, but the very concept of their existence. Total, absolute annihilation. And she saw what she needed to become to stop it. The transformation accelerated. Seraphina's consciousness expanded beyond individual identity, touching both realms simultaneously. She became a living bridge, not fallen angel, not demon, but something unprecedented. Something balanced perfectly between light and shadow. Something powerful enough to stand against heaven itself. When the ritual ended, Seraphina opened her eyes. They glowed with silver gold light, celestial and demonic power merged perfectly. Her wings had transformed again, now shifting between pure white and deepest black depending on which aspect of her nature she called upon. "Did it work?" Azrael asked cautiously, studying her transformed appearance. "Yes." Seraphina's voice resonated with layered harmonics, human, angel, and something beyond both. "I can feel the cleansing fire. Can counter it. But Azrael." She turned to him, and he saw tears in her luminous eyes. I also see what Michael's planning. The choice he's going to force me to make. What choice? Before she could answer, alarms shattered the moment. Heaven's army had arrived, early, massive, and bringing apocalypse with them. Seraphina and Azrael rushed to the battlements. The sky above the shadow realm had torn open, revealing heaven's full host, thousands of angels in battle formation, led by Michael's blazing presence. And behind them, contained in crystalline wards, burned the cleansing fire. Azrael. Michael's voice boomed across dimensions. I offer you one final chance. Surrender yourself for judgment. Let heaven cleanse the shadow realm properly, and I will spare the souls you've corrupted. Define, spare, Azrael shouted back. They will be given the choice to return to heaven's grace or face oblivion. Those who choose wisely will be allowed to live. As slaves. As being stripped of free will and forced into obedience. As being saved from damnation. Michael's fury was palpable. Your rebellion ends today, fallen. Either surrender, or watch everything you've built burn. He's not surrendering, Seraphina said, stepping forward into Michael's view. And neither am I. The shock that rippled through heaven's forces was almost physical. Angels who'd fought beside Seraphina for centuries stared at her transformed appearance, the hybrid nature that shouldn't exist, the power that radiated from her in waves. Seraphina. Michael's voice carried genuine sorrow. What have you become? Free. Powerful. Everything you tried to prevent me from being. She manifested her hybrid wings fully, a display of combined celestial and shadow power that made even Michael flinch. I know what you're planning, Michael. The cleansing fire, the false choice. I'm here to tell you it won't work. You can't stop the cleansing fire. No being in existence has that power. I do now. Seraphina's form blazed with balanced energy. I've merged both realms within myself. I am the bridge between light and shadow, and I will not let you erase an entire realm of innocent beings. Innocent? Michael's laugh was bitter. They're demons. Corrupted souls. Fallen angels who chose damnation. They're people who chose freedom. Seraphina's power flared. And I will protect their right to choose, even if I have to fight all of heaven to do it. Then you've made your choice. Michael raised his hand, and the cleansing fire began to activate. Heaven will mourn the warrior you were. But we will not tolerate the abomination you've become. The sky ignited. The cleansing fire descended toward the shadow realm, white-hot annihilation that would erase everything it touched from existence itself. Seraphina launched skyward to meet it. The moment she touched the cleansing fire, agony beyond description consumed her. This wasn't pain, it was erasure, existence itself being unmade. But Seraphina held firm, her hybrid nature absorbing the annihilation energy and converting it into pure, balanced power. Impossible, Michael breathed, watching her contain the weapon that should have destroyed her instantly. Nothing's impossible when you fight for love instead of obedience. Seraphina's voice rang with absolute conviction. She drew the cleansing fire into herself, containing its devastating power within her transformed being. But Michael had one more card to play. You can contain the fire, he called out. But can you contain it forever? Every second drains your strength. Eventually, you'll falter. The shadow realm will burn. Unless what? Seraphina gritted out, struggling to hold the apocalyptic energy. Unless you accept heaven's final offer. Return to us, Seraphina. Bring the cleansing fire back to heaven, let us contain it properly. Renounce your fall, kill the demon lord who corrupted you, and we'll forgive everything. You can be restored. Made whole again. Given your rightful place as heaven's champion. There it was. The impossible choice. Save the shadow realm by sacrificing Azrael and returning to slavery. Or hold firm and risk the fire breaking free to destroy everything. Don't listen to him. Azrael shouted from below. We'll find another way. There is no other way, Michael said. I've calculated every possibility. Either Seraphina returns and kills you, Azrael, or the cleansing fire detonates and erases the Shadow Realm. Choose. Seraphina hung suspended between heaven and shadow, containing apocalypse within her being, facing the cruelest choice imaginable. Return to what she'd escaped and murder the being she loved, or watch everyone she'd sworn to protect be erased from existence. But then she felt it, through her expanded consciousness, through the connection the ritual had given her. She felt every soul in the Shadow Realm. Every demon, every fallen angel, every mortal who'd chosen freedom. Felt their determination, their courage, their absolute refusal to surrender their right to choose. And she realized Michael had made a critical error. He'd assumed Seraphina was still operating under heaven's logic, that one being's will could override thousands of others. That her choice mattered more than their freedom. You're right, Michael, Seraphina said, her voice calm despite the agony of containing the cleansing fire. I can't hold this forever. But I don't have to. She reached out through her hybrid consciousness, touching every being in the Shadow Realm. Offering them a choice, share the burden of containing the cleansing fire, or flee to safety while she held it alone. The response was instant and overwhelming. Thousands of souls, demons, fallen angels, mortals, reached back, offering their strength. Not forced, not commanded, but choosing freely to stand with her. The cleansing fire's burden dispersed across thousands of willing participants, each one holding a fragment of annihilation through the connection Seraphina had created. Individually, the cost was bearable. Together, they were unbreakable. Impossible, Michael whispered, watching his ultimate weapon rendered harmless by collective choice. You taught me that obedience makes us strong, Seraphina said, power radiating from her and every soul connected to her. But you were wrong. Choice makes us strong. Love makes us strong. Standing together because we want to, not because we're forced to, that's true power. She began to redirect the cleansing fire, not back to heaven, but into the void between realms, where it would dissipate harmlessly over centuries. You've won today, Seraphina, Michael said, and there was something broken in his voice. But this isn't over. Heaven will return. We'll find another way to restore divine order. Then we'll fight you again. And again. As many times as it takes for you to understand that beings deserve freedom, not forced worship. Seraphina met his eyes across the battlefield. You were my commander, Michael. I respected you. But I'll never serve you again. None of us will. Michael stared at her, this being who'd once been his perfect weapon and was now his greatest opposition. Then, slowly, he withdrew. Heaven's forces retreated through the tear in reality, leaving the Shadow Realm intact. As the cleansing fire finally dissipated into the void, Seraphina descended to the ground where Azrael waited. The connection she'd forged with the Shadow Realm souls faded but didn't disappear, it remained, a permanent bond of choice and mutual protection. You did it, Azrael said, wonder in his voice. You saved everyone without sacrificing yourself or us. I found a third option. Seraphina smiled, exhausted but triumphant. Heaven thinks in absolutes, obey or be destroyed, light or darkness, their way or damnation. But reality isn't that simple. There's always another choice if you're brave enough to look for it. What are you now? He touched her face gently. After the ritual, after containing the cleansing fire, are you still Seraphina? I'm more Seraphina than I've ever been. She leaned into his touch. I'm the angel who chose to fall. The warrior who learned to protect instead of destroy. The being who loves a demon lord and doesn't care what heaven thinks about it. I love you, Azrael whispered. I love you too. Seraphina kissed him, and around them, the Shadow Realm erupted in celebration. They'd survived. They'd won. They'd proven that freedom was worth fighting for. But as the celebration continued, Seraphina noticed something. Among the cheering demons and grateful souls, a handful of angels stood uncertain, members of heaven's force who'd witnessed everything and were now questioning their orders. One of them was Gabriel. He approached slowly, removing his helmet. I tried to stop them from within. Failed. Got branded as corrupted and imprisoned. Michael brought me to watch your execution as an example of what happens to angels who question. But you saw what really happened instead, Seraphina said. I saw you save everyone by offering choice instead of commands. Saw thousands of beings stand together because they wanted to, not because they were forced. Gabriel's wings trembled. I saw everything heaven said was impossible. So what will you do now? Gabriel looked at the shadow realm, at the beings celebrating their freedom, at Seraphina standing proud in her hybrid nature beside the demon lord she loved. Then he made his choice. His wings ignited, not with corruption, but with deliberate decision. He was choosing to fall, not being forced into it. Choosing freedom over blind obedience. As his wings transformed from white to black-edged silver, other angels began stepping forward. One by one, they made the same choice. Not all of heaven's force, many retreated, clinging to their certainty. But enough. Enough to show that change was possible. Welcome to the rebellion, Azrael said, offering Gabriel his hand. Gabriel took it. Glad to be here. As more angels chose to fall and join the shadow realm, as the celebration continued into the eternal twilight, Seraphina stood with Azrael and looked toward the future. This is just the beginning, isn't it? She asked. The beginning of what? True rebellion. Not just one demon lord in his shadow realm, but a real movement. Beings across all realms choosing freedom over forced worship. Seraphina's eyes glowed with determination. Heaven won't stop. They'll keep trying to restore their version of order. But now they know we can fight back. Now they know there's an alternative. You want to spread the rebellion, Azrael realized. I want to give every being the same choice you gave me. The chance to question, to choose, to be free. She turned to him. Will you stand with me? Forever. Azrael pulled her close. We'll build something new. Not heaven's tyranny, not simple chaos, but genuine freedom with genuine responsibility. A place where beings choose their paths and accept the consequences. Partners in rebellion? Partners in everything. They kissed as the shadow realm celebrated around them, demons and newly fallen angels, mortals and hybrid beings, all united by choice rather than force. The angels' rebellion had begun. And nothing, not heaven's armies, not divine decree, not the entire cosmic order, would stop it. Because Seraphina had learned the most dangerous truth in all of existence, that beings who fight for love and freedom are stronger than any weapon built on obedience and fear. Somewhere in heaven, Michael watched through divine scrying and knew that everything had changed. The perfect soldier he'd created had become the revolution he'd always feared. And she was just getting started. Like if this ending gave you chills. Subscribe for more epic paranormal romance, and comment if you want a sequel, because Seraphina and Azrael's rebellion is spreading, heaven is planning its counterattack, and the war for cosmic freedom has only just begun.